Welcome to Lesson 21, Part 1. We're going to be multiplying by two-digit numbers using an area model, pages 59 and 60. All right, so our content objective for 4th grade NBT, numbers base 10, B5. I can multiply two-digit numbers. 4.OA.A.3, operations algebraic thinking, A3. I can determine how reasonable my answers are by using estimation. Language objective. I can use vocabulary related to multiplication to explain how to multiply multi-digit numbers. Social objective. I can work with others to create a model to prove the solution to the multiplication problem. So what we're doing is what's called the distributive property. Now, the distributive property is a very important property. We've used commutative, associative, identity properties, but distributive is very important when it comes to multiplying. So here what we're doing is we're doing 5 times 80 and 5 times 6, because I need 5 groups of 86. I don't know my 5s up to 86, but I can do 5 groups of 80. That's pretty easy for me to do, and 5 groups of 6. So 5 times 80, placeholder moves it over a place. 5 times 8 is 40. 5 times 6 is 30. And then you add those together, you get 430. Now this is called, in high school you use this property, but you have letters in there. It's the same idea. They like to use the acronym FOIL to help you remember what to do, what to multiply where. But the idea here is breaking this apart into, I'm going to write this one above, 20 plus 4 and 50 plus 7. Because I don't know my 24s, I don't know my 57s, but I can do 20s and I can do 4s. I can do 50s and I can do 7s. So that acronym of FOIL is just a way to remember to do the distributive property. It stands for first, outside, inside, last. So first is our 20. So I need 20 groups of 50. That's the first one in that one. So 20 groups of 50. Then I do the outside, 20 groups of 7. Those are both on the outside. Now I'm doing 4 groups of 50. Those are on the inside. If you think about these in a parentheses, these two are on the outside, these two are on the inside. And then the last ones, 4 groups of 7. So FOIL is just a way to remind you of getting the distributive property through to all of them. 20 groups of 50, 20 groups of 7. 4 groups of 50, 4 groups of 7. We need all of those. Once we've done the distributive property, 20 groups of 50, I have 2 placeholders, moves it over 1, 2 places. 2 times 5 is 10. 20 times 7, placeholder moves it over a place. 2 times 7 is 14. 5 times 40, placeholder moves it over a place. 4 times 5 is 20. And then 4 times 7 is 28. This is how we can get the 24 groups of 57 without having to repeatedly add 57, have a column of 24 of those, or vice versa, do 57 groups of 24. That's hard to do. It's hard to count up by 24s that much, or 57s. So I can do 20 groups. That's easy. Of 50, 20 groups of 7. That takes care of 20 times 57. Then 4 groups of 50 and 4 groups of 7 takes care of my 4 groups of 57. So we're breaking it apart to make it easier. It may look more complicated, but it does make it a little easier. When we add these all together, we end up with 1,368. All right. So what we need, this is similar to our rectangular model, but instead of representing it with the base 10 blocks, we're just going to use numbers. So first we have to use our expanded form. So we're breaking these apart into their place values. So that's 60 plus 8, because this digit of 6 is in the tens place, so it represents 60, not just 6. And then this is 30 plus 2. So in our area model, 68 times 32, 68 times 32, well, the 10 times a 10, those two placeholders, we'll move it over 2 places, because 10 times 10 is 100. Then 6 times 3 is 18. 1, 2, 3, comma. 60 times 2, the placeholder moves it over a place. 6 times 2 is 12. Okay, 30 times 8, the placeholder moves it over an 8. I'm sorry, moves it over a place. 8 times 3 is 24. So we get 240. And then 8 times 2 is 16. So we take these partial products. Only because I don't have room, I'm going to write them horizontally, but you can write them vertically to add. But we need to make sure we add all those together to get our final product, which is 2,176. All right, so let's look at this first one here. 17, that breaks up into 10 plus 7. So 10 plus 7 here. And then this breaks up into 20 plus 5. So we get 25 here. So 10 times 20, well, we have those two placeholders, moves it over 2 places, because 10 times 10 is 100. And then 1 times 2 is 2. 10 times 5, placeholder moves it over a place. 1 times 5 is 5. 7 times 20. So we're doing that distributive property. 10 groups of 20, 10 groups of 5. 7 groups of 20, 0. Placeholder moves it over a place. 7 times 2 is 14. And then 7 groups of 5. So we're getting that distributive property here. 7 times 5 is 35. We're getting that FOIL in. First, outside, inside, last. Okay. Again, on the other side, we will write it vertically, but just to get down that we add these together. And because the associative property and commutative property of addition, you can add in any order. It doesn't matter the order you write them down, just as long as you have all 4 of them. And we get 425 as our final product. Okay, here we have 80 plus 4, 50 plus 8. So 80 plus 4, 50 plus 8. 80 times 50, I have 2 placeholders, moves it over 2 places. 8 times 5 is 40. 1, 2, 3, comma. 80 times 8, placeholder moves it over an 8. 8 times 8 is 64. 4 times 50, placeholder moves it over a place. 4 times 5 is 20. 4 times 8 is 32. So we're going to add these partial products together. And when we add those together, we get 4,800. Oops, I don't know why that's so far over. 72. All right, now it's time to do part 2 with our 3-column notes.